Welcome to the end user training for our sales pipeline campaign. Please refer to the end user training guide and follow along during this training to learn how to manage the pipeline and how to make updates regarding the contacts in your sales pipeline. We'll be walking through this document here today during this training. So first, let's start about a little prep work that needs to happen. Anyone who will be making follow-up calls or sending shock and awe kits or keeping track of proposals sent and so on will need to have 3 widgets on their dashboard. So this campaign does have 3 widgets. We have our need to qualify widget, the hot leads widget, and finally the sales pipeline stats widget. So all 3 or certain widgets should be shared on the Infusionsoft user's dashboard to manage this campaign. You can always share a widget by clicking on the share button if you have admin permissions, and you can move over anyone here that you'd like to share the widget with. Let's take a look at the 3 widgets and the stats that we'll be looking at before we move on to the update form. So the first widget are those contacts that need to be qualified. So these contacts have filled out a landing page to request a free network assessment or 2 free hours from you. They will show up here. So if somebody fills out either of the landing pages, the contact will show up on the widget as needs to be qualified. The third stat on this widget are the contacts that you need to call to schedule that consult. So you can find that to do here and make those follow-up calls. The second widget is our hot lead widget. So these are our contacts that you have put into the sales pipeline as a hot lead, somebody who's very interested, but you just needed to follow up at a later date. This hot lead does loop, so you can keep adding them to this section over and over again until you no longer need to make those follow-up calls. The first stat on this widget is the to-do to make the follow-up call. On the date that you specify you'd like to make that follow-up phone call, the to-do will show up here on the widget. And I'll show you where you can indicate that date when we look at the update form. The second stat is a number of those who are active in hot lead. Okay, so they're in your hot lead, just the date hasn't come yet for you to make that follow-up, so you can see how many are active. The third widget is the sales pipeline stats. This is where we can see other to-dos and which stage the contacts are in at the current time, as well as some metrics, projected revenue, and so on. So let's take a look at these stats. The first one are contacts who have scheduled a consult. So it's on the calendar, but they need to show up to that meeting and then close. The second stat is a to-do. These are the contacts that need that shock and awe kit sent to them. The third stat is a stat that will show up here on the date of the consult, the date that it has been scheduled. A to-do will show up to record the outcome of the consult. So that way nobody's slipping through the cracks after the meeting. You might have some other things to take care of. You always want to come back and tell Infusionsoft what happened during that meeting. The next stat is for sending a proposal. So this will be all of the contacts that you need to create that proposal and present it to them. Then the next stage in our pipeline is those who are awaiting their response to the proposal that you've presented. So this is where we can see those that you have actually quoted, and you'll also see projected revenue from all of these cases here. You'll also have a close percent rate. So what is the likelihood of these deals closing? The next stat is a proposal call follow-up. So on the date that you present the proposal, you'll also indicate a date that you're going to follow up with them. So as you're meeting with them, presenting that proposal, you'll let them know I'll be following up in 3 days or early next week. You can put that date on the update form and the to-do will show up on this stat on this widget. Then we also have built into the pipeline, if you don't close with them, this is a sale that was lost, we have built in a follow-up 6 months later. Sometimes it's just not the right timing. Maybe they go with another company, and in 6 months, you can follow up, make that phone call, see how things are going, and if they're satisfied with their current provider, and try again to make a sale. We also have a number that have closed, and this will show you who you need to begin onboarding with. So that stat is also on the third widget. So those are the widgets. Let's take a look at the update form and how you can indicate that to-dos have been completed or move them to the next stage. So let's go to our send proposal. I'm going to click here on the number 7. So if I'm working on putting proposals together, that's my job. I'm going to click here on the number 7, and I'm going to work through getting these proposals put together. So what I can do for each of the contacts is click on the update form. So we'll click on internal forms, and our sales pipeline is right here. So this is the update form, our sales pipeline update form, and I'm going to click fill out form. Now this is a bit lengthier of a form compared to some of our other campaigns, but you're going to see that this is the hub. This is where you come to indicate what's happening with your pipeline, moving people from one stage to the next. So this is your control center. This is the place that you come. So let's just take a look at the different sections of this form. So I am going to look at page 5 of the end user training guide, and we'll take a look here at the first fields, the first section. So you can see that we've just got some basic contact information. And then also this is where I can input the data for the sales pipeline. So I can put in here what the projected revenue is from that proposal. This can also be changed and updated other times. So if you need to update this, you can do this again right on this form. You can enter in a projected close date for the contact, and you can enter that close percentage. So maybe you're feeling really good. I've got a 95% chance of closing this deal. Okay, and that metric can also be updated over time. Let's move on to the next section, or get the consult scheduled. So these are those who are a hot lead, or we're working on getting there, if they haven't scheduled that consult yet. So there are different selections we can make. So the first one is for your hot lead. So if you would like to enter somebody as a hot lead, or you want to, they've been in your pipeline and you want to indicate you need to follow up with them on a specific date, you can check this box and indicate your follow-up date here. What this is going to do is add them to that hot lead loop, and on the date you specify, this contact will show up on that hot lead widget. Contacts can also enter your hot lead loop by using, contacts can also enter the hot lead from other campaigns. So as you're using the aspirin campaign or the What You Should Pay for IT Free Report campaign, those update forms for those particular campaigns also have the option for the hot lead. But if you'd like to just enter them directly into the sales pipeline, you can make this selection. The same case here for the next option. You can indicate that a consult was scheduled right here on the sales pipeline form, but we've also included it on the update forms for the other campaigns. So you can use that in those different locations. If I do check this box, I'm going to want to indicate the date and time of that consult. And I also want to make sure I add it to that appointment to my calendar if it's not already there. So when you make this selection, a confirmation email will be sent immediately to that contact, and then a reminder email will be sent the day before the scheduled appointment. The to-do will also be generated immediately to send out the shock and awe package. If the contact is not currently a customer, they're already a customer, they won't show up on your widget, they don't need that shock and awe package. On the day of the consult as well, that to-do to record the outcome of the consult will appear on the widget. Okay, moving right along. If on your phone call, you're making that follow-up phone call, if they didn't schedule the consult, you weren't able to do that, you can check this box. We are going to stop the sales pipeline campaign for this contact, and their person type will automatically be updated to farm list. We also have the option here to indicate that the shock and awe package was sent. So if you're working through those to-dos to send out the shock and awe, to remove that to-do from your widget, you're going to check this box, and that will remove that to-do from your widget. The next option is if they canceled and they need to reschedule. So if the contact does cancel the appointment, a to-do will be created to call to schedule the consult, and that will show up on that widget. This first widget here, they'll show up back here. They will also receive a needs to reschedule email after 1 day. Very similar with our no-show option. If they did not show up for that meeting and you need to reschedule, you can mark this selection. It's going to have that to-do generated on the widget, again here, to call the schedule, and it will send them an email 1 day later letting them know that you missed them and you'd like to get that appointment rescheduled. The last option in this section is if they're not qualified. So as you're working through qualifying, perhaps you're working through here, those people who have requested your free network assessment or 2 free hours, if you discover that they're not qualified, you can check this box. It will stop the sales pipeline campaign, and it will update their person type automatically to not a fit. So now we'll move to the next section of the form, recording the outcome of the consult. Remember, on the day of the consult, the to-do is going to show up on your widget to record that outcome. When you're doing that, you can use this section. So, do you need to present the proposal? You can check this box. What that will do is we'll create that to-do to get that proposal presented, and that will show up on your dashboard widget. Once the proposal is presented and you're just awaiting a response, that thumbs up or thumbs down, you're going to check this box and put the date that you want to follow up with them on. Okay, maybe just a couple days later. Then what will happen is that the to-do will show up here on this widget for the proposal call follow-up. Another option is that you closed this deal. It's converted. You want to mark this as converted. When you mark this selection, the sales pipeline campaign will stop, and they will be added to that begin onboarding to-do on the dashboard widget, only for your brand new customers. If you have an existing customer that's going through the campaign, they won't need to be added to that again. And then we have a couple of options for didn't close. We have 2 different options. One for if they're a current client of yours, and the other one is if they're not a current client. So if they are a current client and you didn't close this deal with them, you're going to check this box. It will stop the campaign. If they are not a current client, you're going to check this box and indicate a reason below. Now you'll see here notated that it's okay to check this box and a radio button selection at the same time and in the same form submission. We generally teach only do one checkbox, only one selection per form fill, but in this case you can check this box and make your radio button selection at the same time. What this is going to do is stop the sales pipeline campaign for the contact, and then we're going to be updating their person type as indicated on page 9 of your end user training guide. So if it's because of money, the incumbent, competitor, or other, the person type will automatically be updated to unconverted lead. If they're just not the decision maker, we're going to update that person type to farm list. So the final section of the update form is for the 6-month follow-up. So when the to-do appears on your widget to make that 6-month follow-up call, you can indicate that the call was complete. Here, it will remove that to-do from your widget, and it will indicate that they're still not interested, but maybe during that call, they scheduled a consult with you again. Then you can, instead of checking this box, you would come back up to the top and indicate that they did schedule the consult, and then they can start again in your sales pipeline processes. Finally, the last selection is to stop the campaign for any reason, any other reason than what you see above. It's our emergency break. If you need to just remove a contact from the campaign, you can make this selection and it will stop the campaign. It's not going to indicate any history or reasons why the person was exited from the campaign, but that is an option for you. Please refer to the end user training guide as you begin to use this update form and your dashboard widgets for your sales pipeline, so you know exactly what's going to happen with each selection made. If you have any questions as you're beginning to use the form, or you just need some assistance along the way, you can always reach out to our help desk. Email us at infusionsoft@technologymarketingtoolkit.com. We're always happy to help.